I'm going to tell you why you should be scared of April 20th. On January 20th, Trump signed this executive order. In Section 6B, it says this, quote, "Within 90 days of the day of this proclamation, the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall submit a joint report to the President about the conditions at the southern border of the United States and any recommendations regarding additional actions that may be necessary to obtain complete operational control of the southern border, including whether to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807. Before we talk about the Insurrection Act, I'm going to talk about the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security. The current Secretary of Defense is Peter Hegseth. He went to school at Princeton for politics and got a master's in public policy at Harvard in 2013. He's been consistently active in the military, but he has no experience leading large groups in military activities. He was most known for being a host for Fox and Friends from 2016 to 2024. His confirmation trial was controversial. Democrats cited a lack of experience in general misconduct as reasons why he shouldn't be nominated. He was one of the people involved in the Signal chat fiasco that happened a couple weeks ago, and he has no experience leading a group as large as the DoD. The largest groups he uses generally for localized military operations. Regardless of that, he was confirmed 51 to 50. The current Secretary of Homeland Security is Kristi Noem. She initially went to college but went back to her farm, and later on she got a bachelor in political science from South Dakota University. She held numerous positions in the South Dakota government, eventually becoming the governor. Regardless of that, she has no experience with anything military oriented. As a comparison, this was Biden's Secretary of Homeland Security. You can see that Alejandro has a lot more experience in this field. Kristi Noem has probably a quarter of the qualifications that he does. Both Kristi Noem and Peter Hegseth are in positions to make an incredibly important decision, and given their lack of experience, this should be concerning for everyone regardless of your political affiliation. Now let's go over what the Insurrection Act is. So basically a collection of statutes from 1792 to 1871. Oh my god, I can't believe I got that. It allows the military to operate within the US borders in 3 conditions. It can either be a state requesting aid to suppress insurrection, they can be deployed to enforce federal laws in case judicial proceedings can't happen, and the third option is Section 253, which is the most concerning one. It's very broad and you can basically use this in a menagerie of circumstances. NPR specifically wrote an article about how the Insurrection Act should be changed about a year ago. What's important to note is the Insurrection Act is very different from martial law. Martial law is when a government takes authority over the local government. The Insurrection Act is pretty much just used to retain control if it is lost. This is a conservative source article talking about the Insurrection Act. It says, quote, "While a signed executive order has triggered some debate over possible use of the Insurrection Act, there is no credible evidence or reporting that martial law is being considered anywhere in the US, end quote. This is incredibly disingenuous framing. The Insurrection Act is completely different from martial law. There's absolutely credible evidence that we might be using the Insurrection Act. It's explicitly stated in the executive order that we might be using the Insurrection Act. The issue is that martial law and the Insurrection Act are 2 completely different things. The Insurrection Act has been used 30 times in our history. Andrew Jackson used against the Nat Turner Slave Rebellion of 1831. It was also used during the 50s and 60s to force desegregation. The last time it was used was in 1992 with the LA riots. I'm going to put a link to the Brennan Center below. It lists all the uses of the Insurrection Act in our history. Basically, this act is historically used against US citizens if they are rioting. Trump wants to use this in a radically different way. He basically wants to remove illegal immigrants and people who are just voicing dissent from the country. In a previous video, I went over the Evil Aliens Act and the El Salvador flight, and we know now that 75% of the people who were deported on that flight have no criminal records. If the Insurrection Act is used, Trump will have unmitigated control over a situation that he continually purports to be much more dangerous than it is in reality. And again, I went over all this in a previous video. I'll link that in the description as well. I'll be posting more about this and other topical issues as they come up. Make sure to like and follow to stay up to date.